Hey YouTube, this is PrimetimePokemon. In this video, I'll be doing some Pokemon TCG online gameplay. I'll be battling with the first place deck from the Santa Clara Regional Championship in California. It would be a Reshiram and Charizard GX deck. Now this was the first major regional championship in the United States where Unbroken Bonds was legal, and Reshiram and Charizard GX took down the tournament title. You also see lots of Reshiram and Charizard GX decks in Madison, the regional championship that is happening this weekend. So I'll head on over to the online TCG, give the general strategy for the deck, and then get into battling. Here's a look at the deck checklist on the online TCG. General strategy with this deck is to accelerate fire energy into play and then primarily attack with Reshiram and Charizard GX. One good strategy with this deck is to go second turn 1, and then Flare Starter on Volcanion allows you to accelerate 3 fire energy cards from your deck to your Pokemon in any way that you'd like. Eevee and Snorlax GX also can accelerate energy with Cheer Up, and this is a great secondary attacker if you are facing a water type deck. The primary attacker in this deck would be the Reshiram and Charizard GX. It is a great attacker for taking down other tag team or GX cards out there because it does do 230 damage with Flare Strike, major damage with Outrage. It can do almost as much damage as Double Blaze GX can do if you have 6 energy on it. This move does 300 damage. As far as the trainer cards and energy cards go, 42 trainer cards, so lots of trainer cards, and 11 fire energy. Lots of fire type support in Unbroken Bonds. Something like Welder is excellent. And then something like Pokegear 3.0 can help find supporter cards. Green's Exploration is excellent. This is also from Unbroken Bonds. And then some more fire type support, Heat Factory, Prism Star, and then Fire Crystal and Fiery Flint. So lots of ways to retrieve fire energy from your deck or discard pile, put them into your hand, and accelerate those energy into play. So let's head on over to Versus and see what's out there. I have done a fair amount of battling with this Reshiram and Charizard GX deck. It is a little bit slow on the setup. I would say a disadvantage with this deck is if you're facing a non-GX deck, you only can do 230 damage every other turn with Reshiram and Charizard. That is sort of a waste of an attack if you do not need to do 200 plus damage when attacking. So the first deck here, Psychic, Lightning, Water, and Colorless. I still do like Pikachu Zekrom a little bit better. I'm going to try and go with the strategy of attacking second turn 1. Trying to start the game with Baby Volcanion. I do have 4 Volcanion in this deck. That is the most popular Pokemon in the deck. So you do have the best chance of starting the game with Volcanion in the active. So we'll see how it goes. Usually you want to go first turn 1, just to get your Pokemon set up quicker. And unfortunately didn't get the card I was hoping for to put into the active Pokemon spot. Might be able to draw into a switch, something like that. But Outrage on Reshiram and Charizard GX can do major damage if my opponent starts attacking Reshiram and Charizard GX. There's a Ditto Prism Star, so my opponent doesn't have a good start either. They do have plenty of cards in their hand. This may be a Zapdos deck or a Pikachu and Zekrom. Ooh, there's a Blitzel. So Zebstrika there to use its ability, I believe. Shrine of Punishment. So this is a type of deck that I talked about. A non-GX deck. So my choice band in this list are wasted. Same goes for Power Plant, new stadium card, a pretty good stadium card overall. Ooh, this is a very good deck that I am facing. It is a Wheezing Shrine of Punishment. So you'll see lots of damage spread around. And then I noticed my opponent had discarded a Tapu Lele Magical Swap on there. Allows you to move that damage around and take 3 prize cards by knocking out a Tag Team GX. So I'm guessing this will be a loss on my part. It just depends on how quickly I can get some of my Pokemon set up. In this case, Volcanion, I believe, can do 110 damage if there are 4 energy cards total in play. So that should be able to take down some of my opponent's Pokemon pretty easily. Wheezing has 120 for the HP, which will be a little bit too much for the attack on Volcanion. Maybe my opponent will use Marshadow Let Loose. It would actually help me a little bit. Otherwise, not much I can do so far. And there's a spell tag. If I knock out the coughing there, it does 40 damage to one of my Pokemon. Is that a counter energy? Yes, it is. So I'm thinking I'm going to lose game 1. There's a Power Plant. At least I'll get the Shrine of Punishment out of there. Pokemon GX have no abilities. My opponent more than likely will not be using any GX Pokemon. So I'll probably start with Green's Exploration. Search your deck for up to 2 trainer cards, reveal them, and put them in your hand. So I'll do that. I think I'm going to try and get Welder and maybe a Fiery Flint. I think that is what I'm going to do. There's a Welder. I also could go and get the Heat Factory. That might be useful as well. So I'm going to go like that. I want to have lots of energy in my hand to accelerate with Welder next turn. No need to use the Field Blower yet to get rid of that spell tag. So I think that's all I can really do, so I'm just going to pass to my opponent. Now if I was to get behind in prize cards, 1 copy of Lieutenant Surge's Strategy, which allows you to play 2 additional supporter cards in addition to that Lieutenant Surge's Strategy. So another Shrine of Punishment out there. 2 Power Plant and then 1 Heat Factory. So I do have 3 Stadium cards in this deck to get rid of that Shrine of Punishment. There's a Cynthia. So this counter energy sitting out here doesn't do much yet for Ditto. There's a double colorless for a coughing. And Wheezing, there's a look at its ability. Has to be in the active Pokemon spot. Each of your opponent's basic Pokemon it does damage to. So there's the Marshadow Let Loose. That's going to hurt right now. There goes the Welder and the Fiery Flint. And now if I was able to use Pokegear 3.0 for the Welder, that would be excellent. But again, then I do 230 damage to a Ditto, let's say. That's a wasted move. So they are going to put the Wheezing in the active Pokemon spot. 1 damage counter. Plus 40 damage with its attack. So if I was to able to get a Welder here, and I did get the Welder, that will be helpful. Still can't knock out Wheezing with Outrage, but I will do this. Welder there, so accelerate 2 energy cards from my hand to a Pokemon. Then I get to draw some cards as well. And I am going to put the Stealthy Hood, which will prevent Wheezing's attack, I believe. Its ability, or rather. Let's do that. And do I risk putting nothing on the bench at all? I think I'll be alright just because my opponent doesn't have any powerful attackers. so I don't want them to be able to Guzma up the Volcanion. So I am going to just use Flare Strike, and then if I am attacked next turn, Outrage should do a fair amount. I do have an Acerola in this list. Same goes for Max Potion. There's another Welder, which would be helpful. So now Outrage should knock out anything of my opponents. It will do 30 damage plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on Reshiram and Charizard. Does my opponent have a double colorless? I'm sure they're promoting the Tapu Koko to have the free retreat cost. I am playing it a little bit risky right now, having no bench Pokemon. Wasn't very confident going into this matchup. There's a Cynthia. They are probably looking for a Weezing or a double colorless energy, or a counter energy at this point. There's a Weezing with the spell tag, and there is the counter energy. Should be able to do 40 damage. I'll be able to knock it out right away. The GX attack on Reshiram and Charizard really doesn't do too much. So essentially it does 50 damage, so it still won't get knocked out. I am going to put this out here just to be safe, even though Weezing's ability will now hit Volcanion. But might as well get another Pokemon set up. And I could use the Welder. I'm going to hold off on that just so I can accelerate more energy later. I can use Outrage. And it will do 40 damage there, but I believe... Ooh, and they're going to attack the Volcanion. I should be good still with Reshiram and Charizard for at least one more turn. I need the Max Potion or the Acerola. There's another Welder. 4 copies of Welder in the deck. So at this point, it wouldn't be bad trying to top deck the Max Potion. My opponent can attack right now. The most they could do would be 20 damage with Tapu Koko. Or if they were able to evolve Ditto into Weezing, they could do 40 damage. That'd be 50 damage. It'd be close. They may have Lily in their hand. Is that why they're trying to get rid of things? Nope, they're going for Lily. So there's a Larvitar. That is used to take down Zoroark GX and then Pikachu and Zekrom. And they are going to knock out the... Yep, they're going to knock out the Reshiram and Charizard. That will be a good play for my opponent. Not much I really could have done there. They get 3 prize cards, and it's a whole new ball game. So there's a Fire Crystal. So I could do that. I am going to use it. Get 3 energy cards into my hand. I can use Welder. So I'd actually have 4, and I would be able to knock out the Larvitar. That works pretty well. So 2 with the Welder and 1 from my hand. Rescue Stretcher here. I could set up the Eevee and Snorlax as well. I'm just going to get the knockout on the Larvitar. And I think I'm going to hold off. The Shrine of Punishment is still out there. So I am going to hold off. Use High Heat Blast and does, what, 110 damage? I don't think my opponent can knock me out immediately. So we're both at 3 prize cards now. There's a Fiery Flint. That allows you to search your deck for up to 4 fire energy cards. So I do have Welder in my hand, so right away I could accelerate 3 energy onto Eevee and Snorlax or Reshiram and Charizard GX. Hopefully my opponent will run out of attackers. What are they going for now? Another Marshadow maybe? They're going for a Weezing. Do they have a counter energy that which won't work? They'll need a double colorless to do the 40 damage. And then it'll do the ability, so 10 more damage. There's a Pokegear 3.0. Let's see what my opponent is doing. I'm certainly more powerful than my opponent. Just need to get things set up. There's a Lily for only 2. Not much. They must not have any energy. I would have thought they would have attached by now. If I was my opponent, I'd just retreat the Tapu Koko, put in the Weezing, and there is the... What kind of energy is that? The triple acceleration energy? That's brand new from Unbroken Bonds. Nice. There's the 40. You do have to discard it after using it, so I think I am going to have to put a Pokemon on the bench, unfortunately. I could either do the Eevee and Snorlax. Let's take a look here. Might as well go and get it. And we'll put it on the bench. Here, all you need is 120, so I think I may actually just start powering up the Eevee and Snorlax. I can use the Welder, but first I want to use the Fiery Flint. Get rid of the 2 choice band. I can put all the energy into my hand. And then I will use Welder. 1 and 2. Done. To the Eevee and Snorlax. Get 3 on there. 1 more energy, and then I can do essentially 240 to the Weezing. I'm going to just use the High Heat Blast for now. And then go from there. Won't have enough to knock it out, unfortunately. There's the 20 per turn between the Shrine of Punishment and then the ability on Weezing, Detention Gas. So my opponent needs an energy card. If they don't get an energy card this turn, I might be able to win this battle. But this is a deck that I would not like to see very often. They're going to go and get a basic Pokemon, or maybe they're just wasting a trainer card. They're getting the Larvitar again. Are they going to be able to set it up and then knock out the Volcanion? Not the biggest thing in the world, going down to 2 prize cards, because if they knock out a Tag Team GX, they would get 3 prize cards anyway. Pokegear 3.0 for a Cynthia. They're probably hoping for a Guzma. So unless they have a switch or an escape rope, I don't think they can get that Larvitar in the active. It will be nice to knock out the Weezing. There is the Zebstrika finally, with its sprint ability. This is a long battle. That is something I've found with this Reshiram and Charizard GX deck. They just discarded their whole hand with sprint. They're really hoping for that energy, which they did get. So they'll be able to knock out the Volcanion. Like I mentioned, not a huge deal. So I'll be able to knock out the Weezing. And then go from there. I could use Custom Catcher and knock out something on their bench as well. I think I want to try and get something set up. So I am going to attach an energy there. I am going to use Rescue Stretcher to go and get the Reshiram and Charizard GX. I can start powering up this one. Maybe I'll get a Welder on the Pokegear 3.0. Nope, nothing there. Fiery Flint will be useful in the future. Custom Catcher I could use to switch out, but I'll just knock out the Wheezing. Would love to get that Shrine of Punishment out of there, because at any time they could move the damage around with that Tapu Lele that I showed earlier in the video. For right now, so far so good. Would like to Guzma up that Larvitar, knock it out. That is really its most powerful attacker, my opponent, that it can do 70 damage. They have to be running out of special energy cards. How many have they used? 2 triple, 3 counter, and 2 double colorless. So I would say they've used plenty of special energy. Like I said, I have several stadium cards in this list. They are going to do 70 damage with the Larvitar. I'll get the knockout right away. So it does what? Ooh boy, that is going to be some trouble. It is weak to fighting type Pokemon, so I will be able to switch that out maybe. Boy, oh boy. I need to get that stadium card out of there, otherwise 20 damage and then the Shrine of Punishment will knock it out. So I am in some trouble here. Would like to have top decked into Max Potion or Acerola. I think I may have to go like this. I'm going to have to actually retreat for the Volcanion. Would that make sense? I'm actually going to just Guzma up the Coughing, I think. Or I could Guzma up the Marshadow. They would need an energy card. What's the Zebstrika? Same thing there. So I think I actually might bring up the Zebstrika is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use Guzma, put up the Zebstrika, just like so, and then I'll accelerate some energy. In this case, I am going to put it onto Volcanion. So that Shrine of Punishment might be the end of me. It might lose the game for me if I can't. And they must have something to knock out. They probably have Guzma. They're saying I have a good deck. And they do. So that would be the game. I'll do one more battle, hoping to at least win one of two. Wasn't feeling very confident against that deck going into it. Reshiram and Charizard is a great deck for taking down GX decks, but not for taking down non-GX decks. That Volcanion, 110, really doesn't do enough damage. And of course I chose to go second and didn't start with Volcanion in the active. Now I am facing a water type deck, and we'll have to put the Reshiram and Charizard GX into the active to start. There's the Lieutenant Surge's strategy. Now if this is a Blastoise GX deck, for example, I might be able to start attacking quicker than my opponent can. It looks like it's some form of Naganadel Quagsire. Accelerate energy into play and then move it around with the Quagsire from Dragon Majesty. So it might be another loss. I know the strategy is to build decks that will take down the Reshiram and Charizard GX. And even if I knock out the Wooper right away, let's say, they can just retrieve the water energy back with either Aqua Patch or with Naganadel. Maybe they're going to go and get their primary attacker here. Nope, it may just be a Quagsire deck. So here, it may make sense to just put an energy card on Reshiram Charizard. Let's see what we get with Pokegear 3.0, hoping for a Welder. Nope, nothing. So, could use the Professor Kukui. That's sort of a waste at this point. I think I am going to get the Eevee and Snorlax and just start setting it up. I think that is what I'm going to do. I do have a switch in here as well as Acerola to retreat that Reshiram and Charizard. I could use Professor Kukui, might as well right now, just to get some more cards into my hand. There's the Guzma that I need. Still need a little bit more to start attacking with the Eevee and Snorlax. So not a good start for me. I'm trying to avoid the Reshiram and Charizard GX because it is weak to Water-type Pokemon. There's the Quagsire. You can move as many Water energy from your Pokemon to your active Pokemon that you'd like. Oranguru here, of course, for its ability. And then they do have a Alolan Ninetales. It'll be interesting to see what they evolve that Alolan Vulpix into, if it's Alolan Ninetales, the non-GX, or the Water-type GX, the Fairy-type GX. The Fairy-type one was pretty popular for a while. Not exactly sure what they're doing right now. They're going to use Beacon, that's what they're going to do. Get a couple of Naganadel out there. More than likely. Search their deck for 2 Pokemon. Put them into their hand. Yep, 2 Naganadel. Do they have any energy here? 2. So my opponent is set up very well. Let's see here. 200 damage. I could use the GX attack right away on Reshiram and Charizard. Knock out the Alolan Vulpix. If I get Welder, and I do not again. So, what I'm going to have to do is use the Fiery Flint, discard the Rescue Stretcher and the Custom Catcher, put 4 Fire Energy into my hand, and then just put the energy on the Eevee and Snorlax. Brooklet Hill won't do anything for me. I could put up, I think I am going to, I'm going to Guzma up the Oranguru, put in the Eevee and Snorlax, and then I will use Cheer Up to accelerate an energy. So I should be able to do 120 next turn, maybe 240. My opponent probably has Guzma in their deck. Probably in their hand as well. So this is the second battle now, facing a deck with no GX, and that may be the route to go against this Reshiram and Charizard GX deck. So now they're accelerating the energy into play with Naganadel, and then they can move those energy cards into the active Pokemon spot there, onto their active Pokemon. There's a choice band, so they must have something. There's a Wishful Baton. They're getting rid of cards in their hand. What are they going to do? Maybe I'll just knock out the Oranguru, which would be helpful. But again, my opponent has to knock out 2 Pokemon to win the game. I have to knock out 6. That is a big disadvantage with these tag team heavy decks. Shrine of Punishment out there. I desperately need some type of stadium card or a field blower to get rid of that Shrine of Punishment. Otherwise, here comes the damage to my GX Pokemon. Ideally, I would be able to knock out this Quagsire right away. If I had two of the custom catchers in my hand, I could do that. So they did not attack. I will be able to get the knockout. And that is really all I can do. I suppose I could put a Volcanion on the bench and start attaching energy to it, but I'll pass on that. I'll just use the dump truck press, get the knockout, hope to turn over a stadium card. Custom catcher, halfway there. Would be all the way there if I wouldn't have discarded the other one. But I needed those fire energy in my hand, so they're going to go and get a Quagsire, and then they can do a fair amount of damage with its attack. Now that is a smart move right there, a fighting type Quagsire. So there is, that will be the knockout. It will be able to do 240 damage plus the Shrine of Punishment. So I think this is pretty much game over for myself. I'm just going to concede this one. Good game to my opponent. Let's go on to game 3 and see if I can actually win something with this Reshiram and Charizard GX deck. So far, it is not looking good. And there's another water type deck. May have to just concede on this one as well. This one may be a Blastoise one. That fighting type Quagsire really hurt me. So I am going to have to start the game with a Reshiram and Charizard in the active. I am going second again. There is a Blastoise. And of course a non-GX again. Might have to just concede this one. Yes, I'll draw an additional card. There is a Welder. Here's an Articuno. They're using the Pokegear 3.0. It can do essentially 140 for 2 water energy. There's a Squirtle. They want to get their Blastoise set up. Volcanion could knock out this Articuno in one attack. There's a Lily for 6. And if my opponent gets their water type Pokemon set up pretty quickly, I am going to just forfeit. I'll save that power plant for later. I do have a Welder. I do have a Fiery Flint. So this is a decent start. Green's Exploration and a Custom Catcher. So I can do 30 damage at least. So let's use the Welder. 1 and 2. I actually could do 200 damage right now if I really wanted to. I might actually choose to do that just so I can get the knockout immediately. I don't think it'll matter doing 300 damage, so I am going to... Yep, I am going to just use the GX attack. I want to win this game as quickly as possible. So I can knock out the Squirtle right now. My opponent needs a bench Pokemon. Unless they have a rare candy into the Blastoise, which would not be good. Let's see what they put out there. There's the Blastoise. There's 300 damage it can do. Do they have rare candy? Yes, they do. This might be a quick loss for myself. We will see. What does Powerful Squall do? It allows you to accelerate energy, and well played. There is the game. So a quick loss. Unfortunately, I've been playing these non-GX decks and then water type decks. Would love to get one win with Reshiram and Charizard. I've actually beat Reshiram and Charizard in real life with the Pikachu and Zekrom GX deck. There's a Fairy Psychic. Could be some type of spread damage deck. That would be my luck. Let's go second here and start the game with Volcanion. So I am going second. How about Volcanion? I have the best odds of getting Volcanion. Let's start it in the active Pokemon spot. Nothing so far. My opponent gets a mulligan to take a card. This is a fairy type deck, maybe a Grand Bowl deck. That would be another non-GX deck. There's a Volcanion, there we go. I do have Welder as well as Nest Ball, so a decent start right here as long as my opponent doesn't use Marshadow, Let Loose, or Judge. So this is a Whimsicott GX deck. I have not faced this deck before, so it'll be interesting to see what it does. I've actually never faced that Blastoise deck either, and that one just knocked me out right away. So plenty of Cottony out there, plus the Fairy Charm ability and Fairy Charm Lightning. So let's see what we can do. I'm going to use the Nest Ball for the Reshiram and Charizard. And then not much I can really do except for accelerate the 3 energy cards onto Reshiram and Charizard, and then hope to top deck a fire type energy. So Whimsicott right now, or Cottony rather, is basic evolution form. 10 damage when attacking. 1 colorless energy retreat. Weak to metal type Pokemon, resistant to darkness type. And then these fairy charms are very useful. Mina is excellent. So there are plenty of energy in play. There's a power plant. That could be useful in the future. Right now, I think I'm going to do the same thing that I did the last game that worked out so well. So this Fairy Charm, prevent all damage done to this Fairy type Pokemon. Pokemon GX and EX that have abilities, that does nothing. This one is Lightning type. So neither of those really affect anything. So I am going to Guzma up the one without a tool on it. And then I will just take the knockout Double Blaze GX. 200 damage on a basic. Then turn over a Fiery Flint. This would be very useful. Potentially put out another Reshiram and Charizard, or go and get an Eevee Snorlax. And there is a victory. A cheap way to win a battle. But a very long video so far. I don't know if I should have one more battle or not. I think I will conclude this video. You know what? Let's go on a hunt for a Reshiram and Charizard GX. I'll open up a few packs of the Unbroken Bonds set. I opened up 82 packs before I was able to pull something other than a regular GX. I think I have some Unbroken Bonds. There we are. 83. Let's open a couple till we get something good. Hopefully end the video on a positive note. The battles didn't go very well. Triple acceleration energy really hurt me. There's a victory bell. I wish I would have went to the Madison Regional Championship. A friend of mine was going. He's actually, there's that Weezing that I faced earlier. He's actually working for the video game side of it. I've actually been sick the past 2 weeks, so been a bit under the weather. There's a Gardevoir and Sylveon GX. A great card overall. Let's open a couple more. I'm feeling pretty good here. I've been very sick. My voice is gone for several days. My cold turned into a sinus infection. I've had it for about 2 weeks, so hasn't been a good time. Wow, there we go. The pulls are starting to heat up. A couple of regular GX. Marshadow Machamp in the alternate art. Looks pretty cool. The next good pull that I get, then I'll conclude this 40-minute video. Not much for battling. Persian, which is a pre-release promo. There we go. There's a great way to end this battle video with a GX Rainbow Rare pull of Pheromosa and Buzzwole GX. Beast Game GX can potentially win you the game in one attack. So I'll go back to the deck checklist, take a look at the Reshiram Charizard GX deck. As you can see, the current metagame is shaped around taking down the Reshiram and Charizard GX deck. So it never really worked out for me in any of the battles. The idea is to start second with the Volcanion, accelerate the energy into play, which I guess I did do the final game that I actually won, and then just straight out do powerful attacks with this Reshiram and Charizard GX. But there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll have lots more online TCG gameplay videos in the very near future. So thanks everyone for watching. Make sure to check out all the links in the description of this video before you go, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.